Welcome back to Collaboration Conversations. I'm delighted to be here today with my guest co-host, Al Rodenburg. And as many of you know, I actually have an official co-host on this show, Earl Cox, who's unable to be with us at this time. And so I get the joy and the pleasure of inviting guest co-hosts. And this show is Al Rodenburg. And I am thrilled to have Al here and the panelists that he's invited. So welcome to the show, Al.
Well, thanks, Regina. I think this is a great opportunity. And I know you were going to ask me a question about who I serve,
I
right?
am. I want to know a little bit about your journey, who you serve, and why you serve them.
You know, I have been a small business owner since I can remember. Since somebody gave me a gift at Christmas of a craft gift, and I'm not a craft person. I made the crafts, and I went door to door selling them as a kid. But anyway, I mean, I've started up and run several multi-million-dollar businesses, and my whole thing right now is just to help small business. I mean, small business is the backbone of this country, and whatever I can do to help, either coaching or helping in some way, interviewing people, which I do right now, and giving them the video so they can post it on their website or wherever they want to post it. I just feel like it's an opportunity to meet and help. That's about it for me.
And that's so important. And you're absolutely right. Small businesses are the backbone of this country. And when we impact a small business, we impact a family, a business, a community, and the broader nation and even the world as we help businesses succeed. So I appreciate what you're doing, Al, with small businesses. Al, would you take a moment, would you introduce each of our guests, please, our panelists, and have them share their journey and who they serve?
Oh, absolutely. I'll just go around the thing as I see it. Brad Glassman, we had a wonderful visit a while back. And Brad, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Al, and thank you for the introduction to this platform and also the collaboration. I can say it yet. Collaboration Conversations. It's a great platform. My background, I used to be a college professor. I've owned my own businesses. I've worked for enterprise companies. I was with the Walt Disney Company for about 19 years. And there's a big difference between working for yourself or working for others where they place that hourly value on you. I get to get out of my business what I put into it. So I dictate what my worth is. So I love working for myself, and I love bringing that opportunity and also financial awareness and solutions to so many, whether it's individuals, families, or businesses. One of my goals, unrealistic, but I'm shooting for it, is to get rid of all of those damn GoFundMe accounts that people have to open last minute for unfortunate situations. So, and really, it just takes a lot of awareness. So thank you again, Al, and thank you, Regina.
Delighted to have you here.
All right. Next, we have Eddy Schedule. And Eddy and I also had a meeting a while back and really enjoyed that. Eddy, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so my background, I'm retired military, kind of like you guys will hear from Michael when he gets down there, but spent 20 years in the Navy. And my journey has kind of led me in a lot of different industries. But one of the things that I've always loved was leadership development, team development. And over the last few years, I had been working with my own coaching company with high school students, a lot of those of helping them in coaching, personality assessments, helping them pick careers based on who they were with their personality assessments. We took a lot of things from business and moved that in there. In the last few months, though, I've taken over a mental health and addiction treatment organization in Texas called Dublin Health Concepts. It was a natural transition for me to go in and help with still working with adolescents, but also working with the adults with the mental health issues that we have really throughout the country. And in Texas, we're in all the different cities within Texas. And once this opportunity presented itself, it was just a natural thing for me to want to get in there and continue that work of helping people get better in all those different areas. So, and you can, my last name is Schedule, it's spell checks and everything. So there you go.
Thanks, Eddie. And next is Monica. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
You mean like that?
Yeah, she's
All
my
right.
good friend. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Monica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Monica Fuss. I'm a wellness coach, sailor, and an Arbonne independent consultant. What I do, who I serve, are people that like busy entrepreneurs, or maybe somebody that has ADD or ADHD, or at least those symptoms, and find themselves chasing every squirrel that goes by their desk or on their screen. So I can help them with a little bit of focus, with a little bit of guidance, and to take baby steps, not a big makeover kind of thing, but I help them with baby steps that are actually doable and things that they feel like they can actually accomplish. And then we build on that in a positive way, one step in front of the other. I used to be in IT. Believe it or not, I retired from a 30-some-year career in IT. I was the nerd to the max. I was me and my computer. If you came up and talked to me, I didn't care to give you the time of day. My people skills were like 0 or negative. I've had to learn. I still have a ways to go, I know, but I have been working on personal development and learning how to care about people besides just my family. And so God has grown my heart to care about so many people. And my goal is to help in the next 12 months to help 120 families to be able to have a healthier outlook on life and in their body. So Monica Fuss, helping you and whoever you refer to me to go through the chaos to the calmer waters of healthy living.
Great. Thanks, Monica. And Bianca, I met Bianca recently and I was so impressed, and I'm glad she's joining us today. Go ahead and let us know a little bit about yourself, Monica, or Bianca, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Thank you, Al. I was very impressed with meeting you as well. So my name is Bianca, and I am the founder of VOXX Voice. It is a marketing and advertising agency focused on fueling growth. We're a one-stop shop. So we've been in the business for about 8 years now. My team is fully remote all over the world, have a team in Israel, Brazil, so literally all over the world. And we are basically your one-stop shop for everything advertising and marketing. I feel like there are a lot of marketing agencies, but there aren't a lot of marketing agencies that literally can do it all. And that's what we advertise. So VOXX Voice, it basically what it comes from is the Italian name Vox Populi, which means voice of the people. And we like to be the voice of your company or voice of you. And we want to target customers, whether it's B2B, B2C, whatever you need to reach, we will help be your voice and get that out there. So that's a little bit about my company.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And now my good friend, Mikel Burroughs, who has just an amazing story. Don't forget to unmute yourself there, Mikel.
Oh, yeah, I always do. So I'm a retired colonel in the military at 37 years. And after I left the military, I've spent all my time working for veterans that have PTSD, traumatic brain injury, or invisible wounds. So I'm currently I'm the former chairman of Victory for Veterans. I am now the CEO for Victory for Veterans, Inc. And we have a wonderful Life Readiness Center up in Huntsville that we just started several months ago, where we're treating veterans free of charge and first responders that have traumatic brain injury and PTSD. And we hope to open that up in about 7 different cities here in Texas over the next year. And I also work for a nonprofit out of New York City. That's where it's based. I don't live in New York City. I'm Texas all the way. But that nonprofit, we buy healthcare debt across the country and we make it go away. We abolish it. And I've been doing that for about 6 years. And we've abolished about $10 billion, helping about 6.7 million families across the United States. and another 126 million for veterans, affecting about 73,000 individuals. So I love what I do for that. And I'm also on the board of directors for the National Veterans Transition Service, AKA Reboot, out of San Diego. And we provide transitioning services for veterans that have already left the service and service members just getting ready to leave the service. That nonprofit's been around for 13 years, and they're doing some great work for veterans all over the United States. So that's a little bit of my background.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. And Betty just joined us, and I met her recently and just very impressed. Betty, what we're doing, basically just introducing ourselves a little bit and who we serve and why, and then we'll get into our major discussion. So go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us just a little bit about yourself and who you serve, okay?
Thank you for that. I apologize for my delays entering the group, but what about me and what are the groups that I serve? Well, I'm an entrepreneur for one thing, and I enjoy helping people to find healthy ways to eat because I got into the business because I was type 2 diabetic and I needed to have food that doesn't have a lot of fat and grease and all those other things. And I just began to learn and grow in my wisdom. And then I like to help people from a servant's perspective that they pick out what they need, not what I'm trying to sell, because selling and being the servant to help them find those solutions are totally different. And I enjoy helping people. It's like, okay, this is a great device and you can use it for this. And here's some recipes, because if you buy something, you have an investment. But if you don't know how to use that, then it's like, okay, why did I do this? So it's how to help people refocus on what they have, what they need, and how to move them along this healthy path to enjoying what they eat and not just be so worried about, I've got to eat this because that's what's on my diet. And it's like, how do we reteach people how to have healthy food that's also enjoyable? And then I have another aspect of service, and I'm just going to mention that briefly. I get into a lot of situations because I do have a board position where I'm trying to help make the community safer. I want to help encourage people, to educate people, and to let them know that every one person can make a change. And without that precept, we kind of like stumble along until we find our purpose. And when we have knowledge and we can share to make it a safer neighborhood or county, city, etc., it's like we really need to focus on what can we bring to the table and how can we share that information.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing, Betty. And Regina, I'm going to turn it back to you because I know you probably have a million questions you'd like to ask.
Well, let's dive in with I want to say it's a simple question, but it may not be from your perspective, everyone. But I want you to just kind of think about and share with us, how has collaboration helped you grow your business? How has collaborating with others helped you grow your business? And feel free to unmute and share your response with us. And let's kind of kick off the discussion with that, because I think every one of you, from what I've heard, collaboration is a part of your business. Bianca, you talked about having people all over the world. Your team is all over the world. That requires some collaboration, doesn't it? So share with us, how has collaboration helped you grow your business? Anybody? Monica?
Well, by being in Alignable, the whole purpose of Alignable is getting people to build relationships and get to know each other so we can become referral partners for each other. And in doing so, I met a lady that focuses on helping children that have behavioral issues. And it's not just ADD and ADHD, it's a lot of other ones. But she and I have been able to collaborate with each other and offer my products and my services as well to her clients that have those particular issues. So, and I've been able to refer to her people that, children or even adults that they have adults that have kids with those kind of issues, so that she can create a plan for them. So
Right.
that's a good starting point.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Um,
Brad?
yeah, I think collaboration is really a cornerstone. It is a building block, whether you're collaborating with people inside of your industry or within your specific business or outside of. We all stand to learn something from someone, even if it's the same information that's been provided and presented previously to you, but it's presented in a different way. That light might just go on. I was mentioning probably about a week or two ago to one of my peers. I said, "This is how I'm structuring XYZ, a specific product," and it gave so much more value to the client I was dealing with, and it brought a lot of knowledge to my peer who had not looked at it in that way. So collaboration and communication is, I can't hold it in high enough regard. It is incredible.
Yeah, for me, the thing is you never know where that relationship is going to lead. And
Yeah.
so when you plant that seed, for me, from the different worlds I've been in, a lot of times those dots get connected. And you don't even know about that connection until you say, "Oh, wait a second, you do websites? I need someone who does websites." Or, "Wait a second, you do stuff with mental health? We're working with mental health," or things like that. So I think it's understanding. It doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it's like I met a person on one of the Alignable things that was up in Virginia, had a landscape business. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably not going to ever be anything. But that person actually contacted me because they had families that they dealt with, that they met, and they just had those conversations. So I think that's the great thing about collaborating, is just knowing that you plant that seed, and sometimes it may take a while, but sometimes it grows later on.
Absolutely. I work with a group of about, there's about 200 women in the group, female coaches, and I do a weekly get together with however many of them want to come. And I kicked off a 60-day contest, a challenge recently over the last few weeks, kicked off a 60-day challenge that is all around collaboration and using Alignable, Monica. But to really reach out and make those connections and see where they go. You just never know when you first interact with someone where that's going to go. And some of the best partners and relationships and opportunities to grow your business and to make an impact in the world come through those collaborations. Yeah.
Everybody on this call, except for you, Regina, because just first time I'm meeting you, and Bianca, I met all of these people, and I don't know if I met Brad personally, but I met Eddy, Monica, Betty, Al, all through collaboration, right here in Texas.
Yeah.
We're new to the area. I mean, we've been here 2 years. Seems like I've been here a century building this house. But we came from Denver, and we were there for 5 years, and then,
Right.
from San Diego. But collaboration, I mean, that's what I do every day with CFOs and CEOs of hospitals across this country, trying to convince them that, they're sitting on a bunch of bad debt where people are suffering and they're really under the federal poverty level. And, we need to buy that debt, and we need to make it go away to give some relief to people across the country. 70% of our bankruptcies across this country are because of healthcare debt. And collaboration is the only way that you can connect with some of these CFOs that sit in the C-suite. They just won't give you the time of day, right? But if you got a story to tell and other people in the industry, they continue to connect these dots and connect you to these key people. And so it works really good. And I love all the people on the call that I've connected with here in the Texas area. They've been great. And I know that they've been missing me lately because I've been under the gun to get this house done. But Monica and Al And Betty and Eddie, I'll be back out there rolling here real soon.
Good deal.
Well, we're glad you got in the house, Michael. One of the words that comes to my mind, Regina, when I think of collaboration is the word synergy.
Mm,
You
great
know,
word.
and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've started to run businesses for many, many years, and having been a solo entrepreneur, I would hire people, and collaboration I never thought about it that much. But the more that I've been involved with Alignable, with Monica and Michael, you know, and learning more about that and doing what I do now, I just love that concept. But synergy, you know, the concept basically for those that maybe not that are watching, you know, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4. It may equal 5 or 7, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 6. It may equal 15 because now you're adding the abilities, strengths, and backgrounds from people, all types of backgrounds that may add to make this whole situation so much better, so much stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the 2 plus 2 analogy. I always say 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 11. So, what would you say to someone who's new to the idea of collaboration? They have a business, but they haven't really done any collaborations. They hadn't really thought about how they could grow their business through collaborations. How would you encourage them to start that process? What would be some steps that they could take to start to include collaboration in their business?
Get out of your comfort zone, okay? Because if you don't get out there, if you don't get out in front of other people and you don't start collaborating and being able to introduce yourself and, you know, have a very short story behind it, right, that intrigues people, you know, if yeah, you can't sit behind the computer and grow your business. You have to get out, you have to meet people, you have to be, you know, you have to be the face of your business. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that as well. What I have a very interesting statistic. So we're a marketing advertising company that has not spent a penny on any spend on paid spend in 7 years, and we're 8 years old.
Wow.
Solely because we have grown through collaboration and relationships. We don't spend any money pushing people to our website because word of mouth, referrals, meeting people. And I always tell people it's so simple to grow your business. Assess what you do in your daytime. So if you're on an airplane, are you putting your headphones on or are you talking to the people around you? Because the amount of people that I've connected with and clients that have come from simply speaking to the people on the row right next to me, or stopping someone in a grocery store, or simply just talking to people where most of the time we kind of hide ourselves, or we're in a rush. We're a society of we're always in a rush, right, to get somewhere. So my advice is just open up and talk to people. Simply get out there, talk to people, have your 10-second elevator pitch. We all have a very short attention span. So let someone know within 10 seconds what you do. And maybe they don't need you in the moment, right? Maybe they don't need your service in the moment, but leave that impression so that they maybe a year from now, or even sometimes 18 months from now, I've received emails. Hey, I met you 2 years ago. We now need a website built, or we need some advertising. And I can distinctly remember that moment. So I would just say, get out of your comfort zone and simply talk to people. So get out there and talk.
Excellent.
I'd like to echo what Bianca said, because everything is relationship driven. Too often in too many areas, people leave their house, they come in, from work, they go in through the garage, they go into the house, they don't even know their neighbors. If you have a business and you need to have customers, you need to have vendors, you need to have people, that's all relationships, that's all collaboration. And if you're fine where you're at, you know, what is the saying? If you continue to do what you've been doing, you'll get what you've gotten. But I think most people want more, but it's the point that they have to take action on it.
Right. Absolutely. Following up on those two things, I think a lot of times people think that when they meet someone, business owners, entrepreneurs particularly, when they meet someone, that it's an opportunity to pitch your services when you meet someone. How important is it to approach that relationship from the perspective of how can I serve this person? Who can I introduce them to? How can I, help them in their business? How important is that in building those relationships?
Go ahead,
Michael?
Monica. I know Monica
Monica.
wants to say something
Okay.
about that.
Okay, I'm a million things are running through my head. But one of the things that I've been working on lately is as an entrepreneur, I mean, and especially as a new entrepreneur, you hear somebody's talking about, oh, I want to lose some weight or whatever it is that your mainstream of your industry. You
Right.
hear them mention some little hint of that, and you like want to pounce on it and say, oh, I've got the solution for you, and here's my pitch. But what if we just started asking questions, and it's like, oh, well, I hear you've got that going on, what have you done about it? What are you doing about it, and how's that working for you? And maybe dive a little bit deeper, maybe even 2 or 3 or 4 levels deeper, because we may uncover something that's way more significant to them. They may just be giving a surface level thing, and it's like, oh, I need to change the hair color. But what's really going on is their whole self-esteem needs some help, and they've got a little mental health issue going on. Okay.
Right.
So to listen for and be able to ask questions, ask meaningful questions, it makes a really big difference.
Absolutely.
And I think you'll find that people remember you more because you're interested in them. I heard a story by the executive vice president of a large company I used to work for in this area. And he would go to parties and he would just ask people, what do you do, or about them, and just ask them questions. He never talked about himself. He asked about them. Because who's the most important person in your life, right?
Yep.
So, and people would walk out of that party thinking, man, I met this great guy, And it was because he was more concerned about them than trying to foist his business on them or whatever. And that develops the relationship, which is kind of what Alignable is all about. And Monica can address that later if she wants. But, it's about connecting it, and especially like exactly what Bianca was talking about, that is it Bianca or Blanca? I'm getting confused. I can't tell what
Bianca. Yeah, Bianca.
It is Bianca. Okay, sorry.
You go by whatever though. My nephews call me Bonka, so we're good.
It's like people trying to pronounce my last name. It's Schedule, and people call it Schedule or Skadooly, and so. But to follow up on what Al was just talking about is, I moved from a small thing that I was working on to now in a larger organization. And the thing about it is, though, those skills of learning to ask questions and hear it's really kind of in the, not only just sales, but consulting. It's one of the things we have to learn, even though we may have the idea, just like me being the executive director, I may have the idea, but if I don't listen to the other folks' ideas and their perspective on things, I may totally go in the wrong direction. And I think that's something that we all, as we become coaches and leadership and all that, it's just learning how to pause and listen and ask those questions, because the more questions you ask, the better decisions you can make, or the better guidance you can provide going forward. So I think it's definitely something that, as you go talking about collaboration and building businesses and building those relationships, taking a pause, ask a question and then pause, and don't try to fill it in for them, which is something a lot of us do, because we see them struggle to find their thoughts. So I know what you're saying, and then we take over and just ask my wife. She'll tell you, stop finishing my sentences for me.
So there's a diagnostic process there that you're talking about, Eddy, right? where we have to
Absolutely.
ask questions and listen. I'm reminded when Brad and I came into the room, we were the first ones here in the room, and he commented about my prophet doctor title behind my name. And he said, what would be a good title behind his name? And I said, I don't know. I need to learn more about you. You know, I need to learn more. I don't know you well enough. I can't make that kind of a suggestion. And and then going back to what Al was saying, you know, there's the other adage is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And we all listen to that radio station. What's it called? WIIFM. What's in it for me? You know, everyone wants to be heard. They want to be not sold, right? Michael, you had a comment a moment ago, and I don't know if we got to yours or not. You had something to add in. Do you have something at the moment to share?
No, I was just going to tag on to what Eddie said about listening. You know, the way I look at all of us on this call is, you know, whether we're an entrepreneur or we're just running our own business, we're all leaders. And one of the keys in leadership is being able to listen. And that's, I think, a very important takeaway for anybody listening on the call. You know, if you're in a leadership position or if you're a sole proprietor or, you know, an entrepreneur, you're your own leader. And if you want to be a good leader, you got to be a good listener.
I'd like to just add a little more on that, just because I agree with what everyone has said, but I had heard a phrase, and I feel it is so true, that the more you allow someone else to talk, the smarter you look. So if you do ask questions, and real questions, because you're listening to their responses, you don't have your response already predetermined, and you're taking an interest, then that will sit well with the person you're talking with, and you have to be genuine.
Absolutely.
I would like to add a little bit to this great line of questioning and answers. A lot of people don't always think about the story. Everybody has a story, and you can use that to be relatable. And people will see you not as someone who's trying to do something, but something that's trying to help other people understand that we all have situations. We all have gone through these situations, and we come out the other end stronger. And that's part of the engagement process that we have, because we can have casual conversations, but when we really get down to those probing questions, we're getting the information and we're trying to understand that person and what's going on in their life and how can we help them. And it's all building that big model of how do we make solutions happen and how do we help one another. Communication is something that, you know, I've heard it said that you're supposed to listen and you're supposed to make sure that what you said to the other person, they actually heard you, because you don't want to just talk to the wind. You want to communicate. And that's a big difference between talking and communicating. Thanks for letting me input that.
Oh,
That
appreciate that.
That reminds me of something Stephen Covey talked about one time about the Indian talking stick.
Mm.
You know, where you cannot interrupt the person that's talking. You have to listen to them.
Yeah. I actually have one of those behind me. Bianca.
I was just going to say, listening to Betty talk, it brought up a point for me. Think about movies when you watch a movie. So imagine if every movie that you watched, all of a sudden the solution was the first thing in the first like 5 minutes that happened, or the win, the ending battle. No, that's not how a movie works, right? So think about what happens in a movie. We get to know the character. We get to understand their pain points. We see what their pain points are, what that is. And then what happens? The good guy swoops in and saves the whole world or saves everybody. And there's the solution. The Superman has the solution. In Star Wars, there's always think about it. There's always someone that comes in at the end with the solution. And we always say this with marketing, you'll lose everybody within literally the first minute if you come in as the good guy, as the superhero. And that's that's with just relationships in general. You want to come in and echoing what everyone has said is get to know them, understand what their pain points are. And like I said, maybe they don't even need you at the moment, but that's honestly what builds relationships is showing interest. And it's what makes Hollywood so rich, because they literally follow this guideline of get to know the character, establish the pain points, then show the solution. So keep that in mind, even with like conversations.
Love that. I love that. How important is it when you're meeting someone new, whether you've been introduced to them on Alignable or LinkedIn or wherever, but this is a new connection for you. How important is it for you to offer to I can't get the words out of my mouth, folks. This is live. How important is it for you to be looking for ways that you can serve? Who can I introduce you to? Who would be a good referral partner for you? Who would be a good client for you that I might know that I can send to you? How important is that approach? And how many of you use that approach, and how's that worked for you?
I'm going to jump in real quick here. I think it's very, very important. And, I also want to mention that time is an issue. There's been a lot of times that, going through an airport or getting off a plane or, meeting somebody, and you're in a hurry to get here and you're in a hurry to get there. I think time plays an important part in it. So if you do want to collaborate, if you do want to establish that relationship, you gotta kind of put the brakes on whatever you're doing at that particular time, and you got to pay attention, and you got to let them know that you have their attention, right? And I think that, to me, that's the first ground rule. Anyway, it is for me, right? And again, going back to what we said, if they've got a story, if they've got something to say, go through that encyclopedia that you have up there, that catalog of people that that you've met, and it doesn't hurt to drop a name and just say, hey, you know what? I really want you to make contact with so-and-so. I think that you guys would really have a good connection. And that's happened to me a lot, just with Alignable, with Monica, with Al. I've made a lot of connections just because everybody kind of stopped and they just said, wow, that's kind of cool what you're doing, Mike. Let me introduce you to so-and-so. But I just want to go back to that time issue. If you're in a rush, it doesn't work, right? If you have limited time, it doesn't work. So you have to stop, put the brakes on everything, and be legitimate, right? And take the time to listen. So I just want to throw that out. I can tell you that I've been in situations where I've been bad on that because I just didn't have the time, right? And, I think about it afterwards, after the time has passed, and I'm going, man, why didn't you just stop for a minute, right? Because, I think of everybody, and especially our younger generation, if any of them are listening, that we've gotten this, let's go through the McDonald's fast serve lane type life, right? And we need to kind of step back, and not everything is a drive-through, where you got to go. And so time, to me, is very, very important, and it's something that I've got to be better at. And I think we all need to take a look at the time issue to make it a legitimate conversation and pass along those names.
Yeah, if I could jump in here, I think this is what Mike's saying is something that's very important, and in the world that I'm in with mental health now, it's also one of the next books that you guys can look for me that will be titled, I think I'm going to title it America the Superficial. And the reason I say that is because everybody is so connected to this instant gratification, swipe right, swipe left, and all that relationship building is a new skill to a lot of folks because and what I find a lot is that people don't know they need it until they get it and they realize, wow, I was really missing that. I was, because of, you can take COVID and all that stuff that we went through the pandemic. But when people get together and they see a smile on someone's face, or like we're talking about, they show some interest in you, they realize that's what I was missing. I need that connection. And so many folks right now, it's learning how to connect again, because a lot of folks have come into the workplace now during all this, and you get kids coming out of school that had to go through it, no fault of their own. It was just the environment and everything they were placed in. So to me, that is so important for businesses, for leadership, all of that, of creating those relationships, because you don't know who you're being an example to, or you make their day because you show some interest in them.
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. I mean, Eddie, you were talking about things being so instant gratification. What I also notice is current generations is more about disposable. Nothing is impermanent. It's like what's in front of me is important and everything else is not important. And those connections that we have, like we've talked about previously, is like, yes, I've learned about Bianca. I've never heard what she did before. I hadn't heard what Brad did before, but yes, that's a connection that I have now. And I may not need your services now. I may not know anybody right now that needs your services, but I don't want to be disposed. I don't want to dispose you. I don't want to just throw you in your name and into my mental trash can, because someday I'm going to come across somebody that's going to need what you have and your personality to deal with it. So we need to learn and teach this current generation that it's not all about just collecting, but it's about being a people connector. And I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add one more thing, if you don't mind.
Yes, please,
Life
Brad.
gets in the way of life. There's always something, a reason or an excuse. And so many people just say no because it's quick, it's easy. It gets rid of that person maybe they don't know, or they're not social or what have you. And too often we are procrastinators and we're reactive rather than proactive. Where if people do take a step back, slow down, take a moment to listen, they may realize, wow, you know what a difference can be made by being proactive, and that person brings value. Thank you.
Awesome.
I would like to add a couple of little
Yes,
thoughts
please.
I had. And I wrote down 3 words: time, connections, and investment in the future. Because we are always focused on not only what's going on now, but what can we do to make things better? And we have to have connections to make that happen. It's a time process. And so it's not instantaneous. So many things that we do when we're trying to help develop a business or help other ones, we are looking at that as an investment. It's like making the whole community, the whole world a better place. Because if we take the time and have the initiatives, then we have improved sometimes beyond our scope, or maybe beyond even how long we live. It's our impressions and what we try to do to make the world a better place. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Folks, this has been wonderful. Unfortunately, we are running out of time to continue. So what I'd like to do now is turn some time back over to Al, and I'd love to have Al share his kind of a wrap-up round with us. What are your final thoughts about collaboration, Al? And also, how can people contact you if they'd like to contact you? And then if you would have all of our panelists do the same thing, that would be awesome.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. Appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to do so.
Anyway, Yeah, I think this has been wonderful. I wish we could continue this conversation with all of us probably for another couple of hours,
That'd be great.
because this country needs people that communicate with each other and listen to each other. This has, I mean, the dysfunction that we see in Washington, D.C., and even in our families sometimes comes from a lack of what we've all been talking about, not only communication, but the listening part of that.
Yeah.
And so you asked me where people contact me. I've got so many different places. I think I'm just going to let people go to alrodenburg.com and they can kind of go from there. You know, whether it's my speaking, some of the things we've been talking about actually is a talk that I give on a book from John Maxwell, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect.
Mm.
When I started in the business world, I was appalled by the people that would say, hey, let's do lunch, you know, and then 10 years later you see them and it's like, hey, let's do lunch, you know, and you still don't see them, you know, and it's ridiculous. So everyone here has, I think, has been wonderful at connecting and doing what they say is important in their lives. And we'll go backwards this time. I'll start with Colonel Mike. Why don't you share your information? Can I call you Mike? I've always been calling you Michael. Now I heard somebody call you Mike. So what do I call you?
It doesn't make any difference. I've been
Okay.
called a lot of things. Just can't
Okay.
mention them on here. But no, people can either get me through Victory for Veterans Inc. or victoryforveterans.org. It comes up right away when you Google it, or they can email me at Mikel, M-I-K-E-L-B, at victoryforveterans.org. And Victory for Veterans is spelled out. So, you know, Victory for F-O-R. And yeah, and I look forward to connecting with the new people that I've met on this call. And hopefully people that are listening will reach out and find out what we're doing to help veterans and first responders and some of the great activities that we're going to be doing here in the Texas area and around the country. But I look forward to, Brad just sent a connection. So Brad, we're connected. Thank you so much. Bianca, I hope to connect with you. I know I'm connected with Betty, Monica, and Eddie, and Al. Just a great group, a lot of good information. And hey, let's do it again. Let's change up the topic. Let's change up the questions, and let's really pick some great brains that we've got on here. Thank you so much, Regina.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Michael. All right, Betty, you're next. You have to unmute yourself, though. Still unmuted, or muted, rather. Betty, you're still muted. No? We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you.
You should be able to see a bar at the bottom of your window there, Betty. That mute should be the first button on the left-hand side.
We'll come back. Bianca, why don't you go ahead and share your information?
Yeah, you guys could reach me at just voxxvoice.com. It's V as in Van, O-X-X, and the word voice.com, or just Bianca at VOXX Voice, or connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So I'm always looking for new connections and looking to learn people's stories as well. So sometimes it's not even about business, just I love to get to know people's stories and lives and where they come from. So I'm excited to connect with everyone, and I'm excited that I got to hear about everybody today too. So I feel like now we have a whole new friend group from this. So
there you go.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Monica, go ahead.
When we were talking about communication, one of the things that came to my mind is the first piece of communication is giving information. But it's not called communication until it's received and understood on the other side. And we have a tendency of thinking of communication as just be what we give. So it's all in, and we have to make sure all of it is going on in play, or all three pieces are in place. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can connect with me on Alignable, Monica Fuss, or you can find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. A really easy address, Facebook.com/Monica Fuss. So Thanks so much. I look forward to connecting with people and also so I can be a connector for you.
Thanks, Monica. Eddy, you're next.
Well, all right. I just want to say thank you guys for this. This has been amazing. I agree with Michael that we need to do this again. Definitely. But for me, to get a hold of us is DublinHealthConcepts.com, or you can look me up on LinkedIn. Once again, I'm on Facebook. My first name is actually William. You'll see William Eddy Schedule on there. The reason I'm not named Bill or Willie, my dad's name was Bill and he hated a guy named Willie, so I ended up with Eddy, which is my middle name. So there you go. But you know, for us, one of the things I'm really excited about Dublin is we are really growing throughout Texas, and because the community is in need, just like Michael helps out the veterans, we're working with adolescents and the adults in the community as far as mental health and addiction treatment. And it's just really, to me, it's a crisis right now throughout the state, throughout the country. And I'm just excited to be a part of that. And, you know, just take a look at our website. We offer lots of different therapies and in home and working with the hospitals with case management and all the different levels of that therapy. So just really excited about it. And thank you guys once again for allowing me to be here today.
Thanks, Eddy. Okay, Brad, I love your sunshine back your picture there, man.
You know what? We want our destination to be as bright as where we're at in our past. Why not? Let's work together to make that happen. Thank you again for this opportunity. I've loved it. I've loved meeting everyone here. As far as where to find me, you could find me, of course, on LinkedIn, Brad Glassman, or you could go to my website, bradgfinancial.com. I would love to connect. And this is a wonderful platform, and hopefully we do many, many more of these. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. Betty, are you able to unmute?
Yay. Anyway, I have a couple things. You know, I'm on Facebook. Betty Avery is my personal page. I have a political page, which includes some of my military work, is Betty Boren Avery, and Boren is spelled Boren. And then, of course, I'm on LinkedIn. So this has been a really great ability to talk with like-minded people that have a purpose and a plan, and together we can make such great impact on our community. So thank you for allowing me to participate.
Thanks, Betty. So Regina, you haven't told us about you.
I have not. So I am a profit acceleration business coach. I work with entrepreneurs and CEOs to help them regain their time, to create more profitability in their business and create a business that can run without them. And I love doing this show. I get to meet the most amazing people and create new relationships. And I want to thank Al for being willing to do this with me, to be my guest co-host today. You have all been fantastic, and I love the level of conversation that we had. You know, I never know what it's going to be. Never know who's going to be here and what the conversation is going to be, but it's always amazing. And so thank you all for being here. And with that, we'll thank our listeners today. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you next time on Collaboration Conversations.